Hi everyone. Today we're going to look at how to find equivalent fractions, what equivalent fractions mean, and what they look like. So actually, let's start with what an equivalent fraction means and what a fraction even means. So a fraction means a numerator over a denominator, which is the same as thinking about a part of a whole. So if we look at the fraction of 2/4, what we are saying is that 2 is the part of a whole and 4 is the whole. So 2/4 represents a fraction. Some other visual representations of what a fraction means we can look at with our marble question here. Tom has 8 marbles. What fraction of his marbles are white? So let's look at the whole part first. So how many marbles total are there? There are 8 total marbles. How many of the marbles are how many of the marbles are white? There are 4 marbles that are white. So 4 is our part and 8 is our whole. Okay. We can also look at fractions with a pie. So it says the pie is cut into 9 equal slices, and we want to shade 2/3 of the pie. Well, 2/3 does not look like a denominator of 9. So what exactly does that mean? That means 2 out of every 3 slices are shaded. So we leave that one blank because it's 2 out of 3. Then we shade in and we leave one blank. Shade in 2, sorry that my coloring skills aren't fantastic, and then leave one blank. So 2 out of every 3 pie pieces is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 9 total pie pieces. So let's take a look at what that means with numbers. So if I have 6 out of 9, I want to know what is the equivalent fraction out of 3. So I know there has to be a relationship between my denominators. So how did I go from 9 to 3? Well, I divided by 3. So that means whatever I do on the bottom, I have to do on the top. So I divide by 3. So 6/9 is equivalent to 2/3. Now we can look at another problem over here. We have 6 equal bars, and we're going to shade 2/3 of the strip. So again, we would shade in 2 out of every 3. So 2 out of every 3 would be 4/6. But an equivalent fraction would be 2/3, because how do I get from 6 to 3? Divide by 2, so I divide by 2 on the top. If you ever need to pause the video to be sure that you have written in notes, please be sure to do that. There we go. Okay, and then our last visual representation says the pie below is cut into 8 equal sections. Shade 4/4 of the pie. Well, I know that 4/4 means one whole because it's 4 parts out of 4 whole. So that means that 4/4, if I multiply by 2 and multiply by 2, is equal to 8/8. So I'm going to shade my entire circle blue. Okay, and now we're just gonna do it with numbers, and we're not gonna worry about what it looks like. So there's 2 ways to find equivalent fractions. We can either multiply or we can divide. So First, we're going to try by multiplying. So we've actually already kind of said the rules. Whatever I do on the bottom, I have to do on the top. So multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number. So how do I get from 15 to 30? Well, I multiply by 2. So that means on the top, I have to multiply by 2. So my answer would be 4. 3/8 is equal to how many 30 seconds? Well, how do I get from 8 to 32? I multiply by 4. So on the top, I must multiply by 4. So my answer would be 12 30 seconds. We can also find equivalent fractions by dividing. This is also called, take a guess, if you guessed, simplifying fractions, you win. So when we divide, we're going to really be simplifying fractions. So how do I get from 12 to 3? Well, I divide by 4. So on the top, I also divide by 4. So my equivalent fraction is 2/3. How do I get from 12 to 4? I divide by 3. So on the top, I also divide by 3. So 2/4. Now, if we're going to simplify, 2/4 can actually equal 1/2 because we can divide the top and the bottom by 2. Again, if you need to stop to write anything down, please do so. And then here's our examples of only writing a fraction in simplest form. And again, simplest form means I can't write the problem any more efficient. So there's a better way to write 10 out of 15. Instead of 10 out of 15, there's a more efficient way to write it. And I think, what can I divide both my numerator and denominator by? Well, I know that they end in a 0 and a 5, so I can divide both by 5. So 10 divided by 5 is 2. 15 divided by 5 is 3. So it's the same as saying 10 out of 15 students do their homework as saying 2 out of every 3 students do their homework. Let's look at the next one. What can I divide both 20 and 25 by? They are both divisible by 5. So 20 divided by 5 is 4. 25 divided by 5 is 5. So you can hit pause and do the you tries at the top and also the simplest form, and then I'll come back with the answer. So hit pause. Okay, let's see how we did. Simplest form, what can I divide both 12 and 20 by? 12 and 20. Well, I know there's at least a 2, but that's not my biggest factor, so I think I can divide both by 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 20 divided by 4 is 5, so 3/5. I can divide both 25 and 15 by 5. So 25 divided by 5 is 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3. This is what we call an improper fraction because our numerator is bigger than our denominator. So this number really represents 1 and 2/3. We'll talk about that later if that doesn't look familiar. And the other question that you could have answered up here is, with understanding visual representations. So how much of the circle is shaded? There is one part that is shaded out of 6 equal slices, so 1/6 is your answer to that. We will do some check for understanding questions on these, and until I see you again, have a great day.